right now there's a lot of conversation where it's either Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James. There's the top 4 candidates that have been rotating in and out all season as the best player for the year. With Russell Westbrook clinching now the triple-double record for triple-doubles in a season at 42, which also tops Robertson, does this solidify himself as MVP candidate, or is James Harden going to get some love because of the fact that he is averaging close to those numbers similar to Harden? Harden has 29 points, 11 assists per game, and I think averaging about 8 rebounds a night. Yep, 8 rebounds, but for a much better team. So who in your mind to this point is the number one player? Is it Harden or is it Westbrook?
It's Kawhi Leonard.
What?
No doubt about it, it's Kawhi Leonard.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah, please do.
Russell Westbrook, congrats to him, averaging a triple-double, doing something that has not happened in over 50 years. It's amazing. But when you look between him and James Harden, he almost averaged a triple-double for the season. He only had 8.1 rebounds and was averaging 29.3 points per game and 10 assists per game. But those two, if you look at the standings, they're still below the Spurs. And since the Spurs are higher, it's MVP is most valuable player for the team. Kawhi Leonard is going to be the most valuable player because of his defense and his offense. His defense is incredible. He's low-key, and I'm happy about this because he's not tooting his own horn like some people, LeBron James, Steph Curry, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. While James, Westbrook, and Harden are largely regular season designated hitters contributing only on offense, Leonard remains just a terrifying defensive presence and is the best perimeter defender in the league by leaps and bounds. He dominates the ball, closing in at least 30% usage rate while rarely turning the ball over and posting 61% true shooting percentage. He is by far the best rounded player in the league, even better than LeBron James right now. Kawhi Leonard is MVP.
Wow. Did not expect you to go with that. Did not at all. And again, it's not that it's unimaginable necessarily. It's not that. You know, I think Kawhi Leonard, who he reminds me of in terms of his the way that he presents himself and the way that he still explodes for great numbers every night. It's like Tim Duncan. And obviously he played for him for a couple of years, under him for a couple of years, and this is the first year where he's the guy. And you know he's the guy. He started to become a little bit more last season and part of the season before that, as Tim Duncan was declining a little bit, having to rest a little bit more. But you start to see his leadership then in some respects that resemble Tim Duncan, where, again, he's not going to be a loudmouth guy. He's going to do his job, and he's going to play very well on the defensive end. I think that's one of the reasons why it's a valid argument that Kawhi can get MVP this season. It's not the fact that he just has the 25 points a game, almost 4 assists, and almost 6 rebounds a night. It's the fact that he does play defense, and one thing that Harden and Westbrook have been heavily criticized about is that they do take off a lot of possessions on defense because they exert so much energy offensively. And it's not to say that these aren't athletic players. I think most people would say by leaps and bounds, Westbrook's the most athletic player in the league. So it's not that he doesn't have the athletic endurance as a top 3 athletic player in the league, in my opinion, to play defense. And then he does average some steals a night as well. Westbrook does. But I can't disagree. But I just think the numbers for me are just too outstanding, too historic on that kind of a level where I can't see Russell Westbrook or James Harden not get MVP. It just seems that it seems that it's not. Like Kawhi's had a great year, and LeBron typically will get the MVP every year just because he's arguably the best player on the planet year in and year out. But in terms of productivity for this 2016-2017 season, I got to throw Westbrook 1, Harden 2, Kawhi 3, and LeBron 4. So for you, Tom, after Kawhi, who is it from 1 to 4?
I would have to say it would be Westbrook next, just because of the accomplishments that he has. Even though his team is lower than the Houston Rockets, and that's the obvious reason why I'm going to have James Harden in third. And then LeBron James, he's been such a dominant player throughout the past couple of seasons, but I feel like what he's done so far and the past couple of nights, his games losing in overtime twice, it's starting to decline a little bit, so that's where I would put him fourth. And also, I would like to remind you that Russell Westbrook was also snubbed from being an all-star starter. And I was trying to look up to seeing how many triple-doubles he had before the all-star break, and I am still trying to find that. So, yeah, those were my 4.
Okay, I mean, no, that's fine. I think that Westbrook, and as you look it up, I'll give you some time here. No, I think Westbrook, from historic value, should get MVP just because you will never see numbers like that in such a limited number of minutes. I think you're going to have to average 40-plus minutes a night, but considering the athleticism, and everyone said prior when Durant was leaving, everyone knew Westbrook was going to be the guy and really be the all-around presence for the Thunder to make the playoffs. Right now, they're sitting at the 6th spot. They're going to be playing Harden and the Rockets, who are the 3 seed, heading into the playoffs. So it really, really should be interesting in terms of a great matchup between the two teams. And again, if you still need time to look it up, let me know. But we're going to go to the playoffs here, the playoff picture as it stands right now. For the playoff race. So if the season were to end today, the Boston Celtics were the number 1 seed in the East. Winners of 2 in a row, 7 out of their last 10 games are going to be over the Cleveland Cavaliers, who've lost 3 in a row. The Cleveland Cavaliers just do not look good at the moment. And backing into the playoffs this way is not going to be good for them, in my opinion. Everyone says wait till the playoffs ramp up. But I don't know if they have time for that because the Toronto Raptors are a game behind Cleveland at the 3 spot. Washington's at 4. Atlanta's at 5. Milwaukee, who's gonna be pretty good for whoever the 3 seed is, whether it be Cleveland, Boston, or Toronto. They're gonna be a tough matchup with Giannis Antetokounmpo playing at an all-star level and all-NBA level as well. And in the 7 and 8 spots that have not been clinched at this point, you have Indiana and Chicago and Miami to vie out for those remaining 3 spots. And then in the Western Conference, right now you do have the Golden State Warriors. They've clinched number 1 seed. No problem. They're going to more than likely be taking on, actually they are going to be taking on the Portland Trail Blazers in the first round. It's official. With even with Denver's victory tonight, the Trail Blazers beating San Antonio last night have clinched the Blazers playoff spots. So you're going to see 1 versus 8, and it should be a pretty interesting matchup over the next couple of weeks. The 2 versus 7 is also official here. You have the San Antonio Spurs taking on the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round. Again, as I mentioned, 3-6, Houston, Oklahoma City Thunder. A lot of triple-doubles there. And in the 4-5 matchup, I think the one that I would like to watch if I were to buy a ticket to any of these first-round games, LA Clippers against the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz are a team, they won 50 games this season, and they look pretty good. And I like what that team has done, building around Gordon Hayward, having a lot of talent that aren't superstars but are really good pieces. And we'll see if this Utah Jazz team can upset, I would say, a much better and much more experienced playoff caliber team in LA. Tommy, did you pull up that stat, or were you not able to find it?
Well, I was not able to find it in time.
That's okay. So, Tommy, again, as of the teams that in the Eastern Conference, from Boston all the way to Chicago, and even Miami, who's technically still in it as of right now, which team are you most likely to see boost their energy in the playoffs, and which is the one that's trending on the down right now, and would be the team that you'd worry about heading into the postseason?
Trending on the down right now is the Cleveland Cavaliers. I know they're going to be facing against the Milwaukee Bucks, which should be an easy first round, but going into the second round, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for them. So, getting to the championship games, it's going to be difficult for them, especially with injury-prone Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and possibly LeBron James if he's not well rested.
What about in the West? Go ahead, Tommy. Sorry, I thought you were done.
I was going to say, on the rise, I was going to go with the Toronto Raptors. They're 8-2 in the past 10 games, and they have looked solid both offensively and defensively. So, a tune-up game against, I want to say, the Hawks, if I got that right. Should be a good game, and I expect to see them, if not in the finals, possibly the championship game.
Wow.
That's my dark horse.
Wow. Toronto, I mean, look, they were in the conference finals last year, so it doesn't surprise me. I just think that the resurgence of Boston's been really great to watch. Boston doesn't have a really great superstar outside of Isaiah Thomas, who's been really good, but if he's your only piece, it's going to be difficult for them to get through. Whereas Toronto has some athletic pieces that can counteract that if they were to face each other earlier than the conference finals. In the West, Tommy, who do you think's on the rise, and who do you think's slipping as heading into the postseason? Considering all these matchups are clinched at this point.
Yeah, West Coast on the rise. I have to give it to the Warriors. 9-1 the past 10 games. They're doing well. They're looking like a championship team that they should be. And right next to that, Spurs. I see both of them definitely competing at their top of the games right now, and I hope to see them in the finals. When it comes down to it, though, on the decline, it's definitely the Grizzlies, Memphis Grizzlies, and the Trailblazers. Both teams, I know the Trailblazers are 8-2 in the last 10 games, but they look like the Grizzlies, who are 3-7 the past 10 games. They're both not going to make it past the first round, and say goodbye to Oregon's team. Sorry, Sam.
No, it's okay. You know, it's funny. I got to go see a Blazer game a couple weeks ago against the Rockets, and they didn't do so hot. Well, the Rockets didn't do so hot. So, I mean, Blazers and at the arena, it's going to be at Moda Center. It's very difficult to get a win. So, I think that first round matchup is going to be really good. I don't expect the Blazers to win it by any stretch of the imagination, but I do expect it to go at least 5 or 6 in that first round. So I wouldn't discount the Blazers just yet, but I do think the Warriors are the team to beat in the West for sure. So we'll take a short break. When we come back, first week of baseball. And Tommy, I'm pretty sure you were excited for that baseball to come back. We'll talk about what we're excited about, who's to look out on, any injuries that have come up. And of course, after that, we're going to talk about some Champions League quarterfinals, some good news if you're a Juventus fan, and bad news if you're a Dortmund fan today. And again, tomorrow you have some great games as well. Leicester City and Atletico Madrid, along with Bayern Munich and Real Madrid. And that should be really good. And of course, the U.S., Mexico, Canada 2026 bid. What does that mean? And how did the U.S. secure that bid? And even later on in the show, I watched the Masters this weekend for the first time in a couple of years, and I thought it was okay. But was it good enough to hold on, considering Tiger's not in this anymore, and really at the top of his game anymore, or even remotely close? So we'll talk about that, and of course, final topics later on in the podcast as well. So we got some more music here coming up. So as I can pull it up, here is Overflow and Michael Woods on the Spicy Sports Show with Sam Strone and Tom Crane on Spreaker Radio.